Civ gear. It's so expensive and there are so many different options. Which one do you pick? Hi, and welcome to Red Evony. I am Akayasha. You can call me Aka. Now, if I had to describe Civ gear in a single sentence, I would say Civ gear is tough. When you consider the difficulty of getting Civ gear, whether you coin to get it or you wait endlessly on that useless wheel, getting Civ gear is tough. Aside from that, there's also refining the Civ gear, doing advanced refinement as well, and that astrology feature or whatever the hell it's called. All in all, Civ gear is tough. Before we even get to those, one difficult thing with Civ gear is selecting the right Civ gear for your general. And when you consider all the options that we have, it's no wonder that some people find it difficult picking the right pieces for their generals. And aside from just the sheer volume of options available, there are other factors that make it difficult when selecting Civ gear. Let me show you guys something to illustrate what I mean. Now, at the time of recording this video, my server is currently in the middle of SVS. So I have the good fortune of being able to look at two different sets of server generals. I'm not going to say which one is which, but here are two range generals from our servers. And as you can see, there are some differences in the Civ gear selections between, for these generals. Okay, here is another set of generals. And again, you can see there are some differences. So, selecting the Civ gear pieces for your generals is not as easy as it used to be when we were just dealing with Ares and Achaemenid. Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to go through the full Civ gear sets so that at least everyone knows what set is primarily for what. And then I'm going to go through my Civ gear selection for my generals. Hopefully, with all that information, that should help you make a decision on which pieces to get for your generals. All right, let's quickly come over here and have a look at the Civ sets. So, the first one that we have here is the Sasanian set. And this one is primarily for range and siege. Okay, so that's Sasanian. The next one we have is the Plantagenet set or Plantagenet set. I just know I'm going to get butchered in the comments for pronouncing it wrong, but I'll go with the Plantagenet set, okay? Now, this one is primarily ranged and mounted, okay? So that's this one. Next, we have the Freedom set, and this set is kind of like an all-round set. So, it's got a bit of everything. That's the Freedom set. Next, we have the Furin Kazan set. And yes, for this one, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. So, the Furin Kazan set is ground. Primarily ground. Okay? Next, we have the Han Dynasty set. And this one is a bit mounted oriented, but it's kind of all round as well. It's got a bit of everything. Now, we have the Choreo set. And this one is a defense set. This is the set for wall generals. So, that's Choreo. Next, we have the Rurik set. This one is primarily for killing bosses. So, this is the set you would want to get for your boss killing generals. Moving on, we have the Abbas set. This set is primarily for debuffs. Okay, so this is the debuff set. Next, we have the Bourbon set. This set is primarily mounted oriented. And it's primarily for mounted PvP. Okay, so we had Rurik for killing bosses. We have Bourbon for mounted PvP. Okay, now we have the Augustus set. This set is a bit more focused to debuffs. It's a bit all round, but it's got quite a few debuffs in there. So that's the Augustus set. Next, we have the Antoine set, and this one is primarily ground focused. Moving on, we have the Heian set. The Heian set is siege. Okay, this one is primarily siege. We move on. We have the Thebes set, or commonly called the Anubis set. This one is primarily range focus. Okay, ranged. Finally, we have the Aztec set. This set is primarily ground focused. So, those are all the Civ gear sets that we have. Now, depending on the general that you're trying to suit up, you would really want to first focus on the sets that have that priority for that type of general that you're looking at. So, let's say, for example, you wanted to gear up your ground general. You will first look at the sets that you know that are primarily for ground. And if you can pick up a good piece, that's fine. If not, then you can broaden your search to look at the other sets. Okay? Which is primarily the focus that I took when I was selecting my gear pieces. Now, with all that being said, what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you my range general, and I'll go through how I selected the pieces for my range general. I also want to point out right before we start that I do not have any generals that have full Civ gear yet. Okay? I've not been able to get that far. I just want to point that out because as we go through, you will notice that I won't have some of the pieces, but I will tell you the pieces that I have already decided that I'm going to get whenever that opportunity presents itself. Okay, so if we are all good with that, let's go and bring out my range general so that we can take a look. So we have my range general here, and for any of you that are noticing for the first time, I've actually switched my range general from Himiko, and I'm using Marcus Agrippa now. Himiko has been elevated to the Senate, and Marcus is the one I'm using to do the dirty work right now. So, in case you hadn't noticed that, that's the situation there. All right. Now, when we are looking at Civ gear for range generals, in my opinion, we need to start with the most important piece, which is the weapon. So we want to look at which pieces will be suited for that weapon position. And if we go through the sets that we know that are for ranged, so we look at Sasanian set, we look at Plantagenet, we look at Thebes set. Okay, that's where we start our look from. Now, when we compare the weapons that these sets have, in my opinion, I think the Plantagenet bow is the best one out of all of them. The Thebes sword, I think, is actually pretty good, but when we are comparing it with the Plantagenet bow, the Thebes sword has ground debuff, which is not bad, but it's not the primary thing that you want for your range general. Whereas the Plantagenet bow has mounted debuff and range debuff as well. So that mounted debuff is okay. It's mounted defense debuff. We'll take that. We would have preferred mounted HP debuff, but that's what it is. So when we're looking at the two, I think the bow is preferred. And as for the Sasanian Bident, I guess that's what it's called, it's okay. It's not bad, but I think the other two weapons are better. So for me, the choice for my range general is the Plantagenet bow. So let's put it on my general. There we go. And this is the only piece of supremacy gear that I have. Okay. Now, that is the most important piece, in my opinion, for the range general. However, the most common piece that a lot of people get is the ring. And for most people, it's the Plantagenet ring that we have. Now, when you compare this ring to the other options that are available, They all have March size capacity, which I think when you're looking for the ring options for your range general, you need to make sure that they have that March size capacity. But again, with the ring, you get the mounted HP debuff, which is necessary. You also get the mounted defense buff, which, depending on how you set up your march, you should have some mounted in your range march, so it's helpful. All in all, I think that the Plantagenet ring is probably the best option out of what's available. That's my thought. So, I have the Plantagenet bow and I have the Plantagenet ring. And as you can see, I also get the 2-piece set attribute of attacking troop attack, 15%, which is great. Okay, now if we move to the leg armor, when we look at the leg armor, the Plantagenet option, it's okay. There's mounted attack in there and siege attack debuff, which, alright, you can take it. So that's an option. The Sasanian leg armor is also a valid option. So we put that on hold. And the Thebes leg armor is also a valid option. There's also a common option that some people decide to pick, which is the Freedom leg armor. Okay? And as you can see, it's got some range attack in there. When you compare it to the other three, in my opinion, I think the stats on this are a bit low. So, yeah, it's a viable option. And if that's what you have, you can use it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But I think the other three are a bit better. Now, when we're looking at them, in my opinion, I felt that the Thebes leg armor was the better of the three. Okay, it's got range attack, it's got range HP, ground and mounted defense buff, okay, which, like I said, if you have mounted in your march, that's helpful, and ground HP debuff. Okay, not the most ideal for our range general, but we can take it in all-purpose situations. More so, I feel that the buffs that you get will be a bit higher than the Sasanian set or the Plantagenet set. So, for me, I went with the Thebes leg armor. Alright, so we'll just slap it on here. The next one is the helmet. And this one was kind of tricky. Okay? Now, if we look at the pieces, the Plantagenet helmet is out of the question, because that one is primarily mounted stats. So, Plantagenet helmet out. We have the Thebes helmet and the Sasanian helmet. There is also the option of the Han helmet, which some people like to choose. It's a viable choice, okay? So we keep those three into consideration. So, like I said, it was a bit difficult to choose the helmet, so I put that on hold and went to look at the boots. In my opinion, after looking at the boots on the Sasanian set, the Plantagenet set, and the Thebes set, the Plantagenet boots are more suited for a mounted general, so we cross that one out of the selection. Then we have the Sasanian and the Thebes boots. We also have the Freedom boots. That's another viable option that a lot of people go for. So we looked at it. Now, in my opinion, out of these three, I felt that the Thebes boots was the best option. Okay, you get range troop attack, range HP, mounted HP, march speed. I felt that this was the better option to get. Plus, I already have the Thebes leg armor. So, mixing the boots with the armor will let me get the 2-piece set attribute. So, my choice for the boots is the Thebes boots. However, as you can see, the Thebes boots is a supremacy piece, which I do not yet have. But I have made that selection, and whenever the opportunity presents itself, it's the Thebes boots I'm going to put on my range general. Okay, now the last two pieces that we have to select are between the chest and the helmet. Now, when I was looking at the chest pieces for the range general, the considerations that I was taking into account became a bit different. For the Plantagenet set, the chess piece is actually pretty decent. Okay? The chess piece is decent. But now I'm starting to look at the set attributes. I've already selected my boots, and the option of the helmet for the Plantagenet set is out of the question. So if I got the Plantagenet chess piece, that would mean I would have 3 Plantagenet pieces and missing out on the set attribute. So in my selection process, I had to eliminate the Plantagenet chess piece, even though it is a viable option. Okay? Now, the options I had left were the Sasanian chess piece and the Thebes chess piece. So when I was trying to decide on this, I decided to look at the helmet again. And when I was looking at the helmet, I felt that the Sasanian helmet was looking a bit better than the Thebes helmet. The Thebes helmet doesn't have any ranged attack on it. It's just got ranged troop defense. So I felt that the Sasanian was a bit better. So I decided to get the Sasanian helmet for my range general. So we slap it on here, and that's that. Now, there's only one piece left for me to decide on, and that's the chest piece. So when I was looking at it, I have 2 pieces of Plantagenet gear. I get the 2-piece set attribute there. My plan is to get the Thebes boots. So when that happens, I will have the 2-piece set attribute for the Thebes boots. So naturally, I'm looking at the Sasanian helmet that I've picked, and I'm like, can't I get the Sasanian chest? And I look at the Sasanian chest and the Thebes chest, and yeah, they're okay. They're okay. The Sasanian chest is looking okay. So my choice for the chest piece is going to be the Sasanian chest piece. And with that, I will get the 2-piece set attribute for the Sasanian set. So when all is said and done, these are the pieces that I have or plan to have for my range general. So yeah, there's quite a bit to consider when you're selecting those pieces. And if you want to use this as a reference for the choices that you make for your general, that's perfectly fine. If you like this breakdown I did for the selection process for the safe gear on my range general, drop a note in the comments if you want me to do a similar breakdown for the safe gear selection on my other generals. So drop those in the comments. For now, that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much. Aka signing out.